You are listening to the Self-Trust Solution Podcast with Dawn Leday, episode number 73. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the impact of perfectionism on goal achievement. This episode is for anyone who finds themselves stuck in a cycle of striving for perfection and struggling to make progress towards their goals. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a business leader, or someone seeking personal growth, this episode will shed light on how perfectionism can actually get in the way of the success that you want to accomplish and how to overcome it. We'll focus on the damaging effects of striving for perfection on goal progress, understanding what perfection really is, and strategies to embrace your very own definition of perfect so that you can keep moving forward. Are you ready to overcome procrastination for good and take control of your goal success? Join me for a free live masterclass where we'll tackle the root causes of goal stagnation and unlock the keys to unstoppable follow-through. Get actionable tools and insights you need to conquer procrastination and achieve your goals with confidence. Don't let procrastination and self-sabotage hold you back any longer. Secure your spot now and take the first step towards unstoppable progress. Secure your spot and overcome procrastination for good at theselftrustcoach.com/self-talk. So as we talk about perfectionism today, it's really good to see how this one topic that seems admirable, in fact, it often is one of the top answers to an interview question of what is your greatest flaw? Like, we say it almost as if being a perfectionist is not really a flaw. We pick this flaw that sounds like it's actually an asset. And the truth is, it can be if we use it in a way that serves us, if we're defining what perfect is for us. But when we leave it as this nebulous idea of what perfect is, it often stalls goals and sometimes abandons them outright. So again, striving for perfection might sound admirable, but in reality, it often leads to the death of many goals. So let's unpack this. We all have dreams and aspirations that we want to achieve. But how often have you found yourself halted by the need for everything to be perfect before you move forward? It's a common scenario. You set a goal, you start working towards it, and then suddenly you're paralyzed by the need to get every detail just right. Second guessing decisions, replaying different scenarios, going to often worst case scenarios of what can happen down the line, often leaving the best case scenarios or everything in between unfocused on, not paid attention to. We just get fixated on these worst case scenarios. So perfectionism creates a stop where there's actually so much learning to be had. It's like placing a roadblock on your path to success. But here's the thing, the path to success is littered with flaws and often outright failures. And these imperfections aren't just unavoidable, they're actually essential. They're where we learn. It's what teaches us and guides us and shapes the path to success, to what can ultimately be your level of perfection, if you so choose. So, why do we think we can avoid this messy, imperfect process? Why do we even want to? Is a better question. Our culture often celebrates flawless outcomes. We see the end result, but we don't see the messy process. It doesn't mean that there isn't a messy process. It just means that what is being demonstrated to us is a flawless outcome, the final product that is polished and pristine. But the truth is, the journey to get there is often anything but perfect. Perfection is an illusion. And if we're comparing someone else's end, where we don't see the messy middle, the journey, where all the learning, all the richness came from, it's not very fair to us because we're comparing our middle to someone else's end. So holding it as an ideal is not a realistic standard to measure your progress by. What can we do in response to that? One is to not compare someone else's end to your middle or believe that that end happened flawlessly and without challenge. But even more important is to understand that perfect is an opinion. So, what if you could change your definition of what perfect is at the various stages of your goal? Meaning, perfect isn't the perfect end result when you're at the beginning of the process. Perfect at the beginning of the process looks different. And if you define that, you create this beautiful space of being able to define every step of your progress as perfect if you want to. Now, does that sound ridiculous a little bit? It's really not any more so than holding yourself up against an undefined perfect. Holding yourself up to an end when you're still at the beginning of the process. It's very empowering to actually define what perfect is and give yourself steps to achieve it. Perfect can be whatever you decide it is, and it can evolve with you as you evolve with the process of achieving your goal. So maybe today, perfect is simply taking the next step forward, no matter how small or flawed. Tomorrow, it might be learning from a mistake. The day after it could be just showing up and trying again. When you redefine what perfect means to you, especially at different points in your goal process, you could very well be operating at perfect at any moment. And instead of measuring yourself against an undefined and unreachable ideal, you can set a standard that honors your effort and your growth, embracing imperfection, which in a way that propels you forward. So if you're expecting there to be imperfections, if imperfections are actually the way forward, the way to learn how to create a more perfect result, then each failure or flaw is a stepping stone towards your ultimate success. And seen from that perspective as a necessary, essential part of creating the success you want, it can be motivating to create those moments instead of trying to avoid them, because it's in the trying to avoid the flaws and the failures that we end up stopping or stalling out, or we miss out on the incredible information that we get from those flaws and failures that would actually catapult our results, making the success sometimes even better than what we're imagining when we're trying to avoid the flaws and the failures. You create more motivation for yourself when these become expected, anticipated, essential pieces of the path. So let's rewrite the narrative about imperfections and flaws. Let's view each imperfect attempt as a vital part of the journey. Let's celebrate the courage it takes to keep moving forward despite not having all the answers, despite not getting it right the first time, every time. That is the gift of either using perfect, defining it at each stage and letting it evolve and grow with you, and allowing imperfect along the way and flaws. It's a both and part of your growth and your goal achievement. And it's how you support yourself along the way, creating more motivation, more interest, more desire to keep moving forward. What will you take away from today's episode? My goal is for you to start seeing perfection as a flexible concept, one that you define rather than a rigid standard that holds you back. Redefine perfect in a way that honors where you are, who you want to be, and how you want to show up for this goal and your life. Embrace imperfection. Understand that flaws and failures are necessary and a valuable part of the progress. Celebrate your progress. Focus on the steps you take and the lessons you learn, rather than the unattainable ideal of perfection. Celebrate your level of perfection at each step along the way. Remember that perfect is an opinion, and you have the power to create that opinion in a way that propels you toward your goals. Thank you for tuning in. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And as always, keep trusting yourself and moving forward one imperfect step at a time. Join us next week for episode number 74. Are you ready to finally achieve your goals with a simple and effective approach? Join the Self-Trust Lab, our 3E success method to streamline goal success will help you shift limiting beliefs, build a solid goal strategy, and create a roadmap for infallible follow-through. With master-level coaching and personalized guidance, you'll apply these tools and methods to make your goal success inevitable. You'll learn to overcome obstacles, make strategic adjustments, and celebrate every win along the way. Don't miss out on this opportunity to transform your life and how you go after your goals. Sign up today at theselftrustcoach.com/the Self-Trust Lab. See you inside.